Yeah, go for it.
Have them.
They're all yours.
Thank you.
Whoa. I'm just going to wait and see if anyone comes online before I start. I'm just here in Torquay, Victoria. Just going to go and watch the surf comp soon, and having some surfs myself as well. I just came in for breakfast and saw on the Age how many viewers have we got? 2 people so far. I'm just going to wait till we've got a couple more. We start mass protests in all of Australia where it counts. Viva la Revolution. Yeah, beautiful. Is there anyone else on there? I just want to see who else is on. If I can see it. 3 viewers. Anyway, I just want to talk about this article on the front of the Age this morning. I put a post up earlier about it, and I've been doing my own research recently with the Australian Law Dictionary so that I can be informed and well educated on these types of things and what's actually happening and how to describe them in a manner that is legally acceptable and also gives people an understanding of what, by definition of the Oxford Australian Law Dictionary, what is happening. Because it's not good. So we've all seen the headline. We saw the post I put up earlier. Basically, I'm going to read the short headline, then I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from the newspaper. A disability pensioner set upon and attacked by 6 police is just one example of cops gone awry. Now, if anyone wants to watch the video of that, there is a web link as well at theage.com.au. They have the exclusive video. The police brutality, separation from source and ego. They need to self-reflect on their humanity. They don't need to self-reflect on their humanity. They need to be removed from their role. That's what needs to happen because they're not. This is not being done, and we're going to go into that. But the powers that be that investigate these things aren't doing their job. So if they're not going to do their job, they need to be removed as well. Have I got any links to find the book you're reading online? I'll just Google search Oxford Australian Law Dictionary. Amazing book. It's so easy to read. I've only had it for a couple of days and really I can't even go to sleep. Like I can't put it down. It's fascinating. It's a really interesting book. But I'm going to start reading. The first thing I'm going to give you actually, because I've said in a couple of my posts that the police force is a corporation. Now, I know most people don't understand that terminology, but where that comes from is we have a crown corporation and we have a crown monarch. So the crown monarch is the Queen, the Constitution, and the crown corporation is the alleged powers that be that we allegedly vote in. That they are by definition in the Australian Law Dictionary a crown corporation sole. And what a corporation sole means is it is run by one person. That person does not need any people, I can't think of the word. They don't need to be given permission to do anything. That one person running the corporation sole, which is the Commonwealth or the Crown of Australia, is the Prime Minister. He doesn't need permission from anyone to do what he does. That's why he doesn't even get voted in. He just gets in. So I'm going to give you the definition of police officer first and foremost. This is, by definition, the Oxford Australian Law Dictionary. What is a police officer? A person who, whatever his rank within a police force, holds the ancient office of constable, i.e. one who has undertaken to serve the Crown as an officer of the peace. His office is, in law, independent. He is not technically a Crown servant, since the Crown neither appoints him nor pays him, nor is he a local authority employee. That is the definition of a police officer. What you are seeing on our streets, these gangs roaming around with guns and pepper spray, are a private corporation. I'll go into the Crown quickly before I go into the thing. Crown. Where am I? I've got that many things sticking out of this book. It's hard to find, but in a nutshell, Crown, originally the monarch in his or her official governing capacity. And the second meaning, which is what we're in now, the Crown itself is a corporation, sole or aggregate that represents the legal embodiment of the executive government. Represents the legal embodiment. It's not the legal embodiment, it represents that. That is the definition of a Crown. It goes a lot further, but there's the two things you need to hear right now to understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a corporation running this country, not the Crown, not the constitutional Crown. So I'm going to read a couple of articles from the paper about this man. So the police come up to his door because they've got a call from his psychiatrist or psychologist. They go to his place, what it looks like 5 or 6 police, 6 of them, and they go to his door, and he's laying there and he's in withdrawal, or he's detoxing from whatever he's been taking. It says prescription medication. Alright. John is then filmed opening his front door and emerging to plead again for police to leave. The lead cop appears to move forward and attempt to grab John. John brushes the officer's hand aside and in same motion extends his hand upwards and towards the policeman as if to push him back with a jab. And regardless of if he's trying to jab him or not, then the police shouldn't be there in the first place. If he's told him to leave his house, they should leave. If he wants to stay there, he has that right, and I'm going to go into that a little bit further, but he has he's got the right. He's harmed no one, so under the harm principle, he has to be left alone. He makes no contact, but he's pepper sprayed, bundled down his stairs by police and pinned down in his yard. Until this point, the officers, to be grinning, this is all on camera. Oh, where am I? Sorry. Sorry. Until this point, the officer's response is arguably professional and proportionate. I completely disagree. There's no professionalism. There's nothing proportionate about that. Am I still on? Can someone just comment to let me know I'm on, because it looks like everything's stopped. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So the response is definitely not professional, and it's definitely not proportionate. If a man is telling you to leave his home, you leave his home, you leave him alone. He hasn't broken the harm principle. He's harmed no one. He's in his home, so leave him alone. But obviously once he's got out, they've dragged him down the stairs, they've pepper sprayed him, they've pinned him down in his yard, and we'll go again. But once John is on the ground, the police conduct becomes something else. It's already something else. There are the baton blows, the punch to John's back, the capsicum spray to his eyes, and the jet spray blast to his face, and the cell phone video recording of his humiliation for reasons known only to the officer doing the filming. So let me just explain what happened. The pictures here, you see one of the police, well, you see a bunch of police on him, one of them with his extendable baton about to hit him in the leg, which he'd done a few times. You see one police officer standing there with a garden hose at its full maximum velocity, so its strongest power, spraying him in the face. This is a man on a disability pension, remember that. While he's handcuffed, being sprayed in the face with this hose. And then you see a second police officer with his personal mobile phone filming this guy, spraying him in the face. Not only that, it says here in the report that the police officer with the hose stopped spraying, but then once the guy got his phone out and started filming, he started spraying again. It really is sickening to listen to, and it's got to stop because it's out of hand. It's not being corrected by the official authorities, and they're not going to stop. They're not going to correct it because they don't give a fuck about you or me or anyone else. They are a corporation. They're here to make money and to control. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. All this is on the CCTV camera. So the blows to John's back, the punches, the battens, all that stuff is an actionable offence. That is an arbitrary offence. I'm gonna read the definition of actionable offence, just so we are clear on what an actionable offence is. Occurring in circumstances that will support a cause of action in law to claim damages or some other remedy. Yes, this is definitely an actionable offence. And arbitrary. Where's this one? Arbitrary. This one's really important. Really important to understand what arbitrary means. It is not restrained by laws or statute, as in arbitrary punishment ordered by a judicial officer exercising personal preference rather than predetermined standards of rules. This is what's happening. These police officers are acting arbitrarily. They should be arrested. They should be put in jail and treated as any other criminal, if not worse, because they know better. This is criminal. What they are doing is criminal, make no mistake, because they have a fucking badge and they wear a fluoro vest. That does not give them the right to infringe upon other people's rights. They have a job to do and they're not doing it. Okay, I'm going to go back to the article. In November 2016, IBAC urged police to overhaul their internal complaint system because it was failing to weed out repeat offenders, the cops known in police circles as frequent flyers, who have been repeatedly accused of bashing, humiliating or neglecting people. The police union has for years insisted that the low figures are indicative not of a culture of cover-up, but of the fact that criminals make unfounded allegations and police work is not only inherently stressful, dangerous and under-resourced, but susceptible to complaints. Well, how dangerous can it be? You've all got guns, you've all got pepper spray and you've all got tasers, and we've got nothing. How dangerous can it be? You're a fucking bunch of pussies, and I'm sorry I'm getting a bit upset. But so, and I disagree with that statement as well. It's not indicative of a culture of cover-up. That's bullshit. It is cover-up. The problem with why these charges aren't getting laid against the police is because, first of all, anyone who is assaulted by police will be charged with a criminal offence. They have to first defend that, and they have to win that charge. They have to beat that charge in order to be able to sue or put in an action against the police, which is another separate process. And you wonder why people aren't doing it. It's you know, it's a big process, and people don't know what to do, or they can't afford it. So they're just being beaten. There seems to be a shadow police force that deal drugs and are extremely corrupt. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to stick to this for the moment. We can get further into it at another time, but I've got a bit more to read on. I'm going to try and show you the video here, or the picture. I don't know if you can actually see that. You know, you've got the police standing there, then you've got the guy spraying him in the face, and the guy behind holding the phone up. You know, you can see that with your own eyes. This shit's happening, and they're getting away with it. You know, this is they're not being punished, and we're going to get into what that means right now. So for this guy, whatever his name was, let's call him John. It might maybe John, I don't know. This person, along with every other person, including you and me, has the freedom from deprivation of security of the person. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Freedom from deprivation. These are your freedoms, these are your rights that are being infringed upon. This is why I'm reading this out. Freedom from deprivation of security of the person. Again, these are all coming out of the Australian Oxford Law Dictionary. A person's right not to be subjected to physical and psychological harm by the state. It is usually associated with liberty. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that that is, by definition, the absolute deprivation of that man's security and his person. The next one, freedom from torture and cruel. What's that one? I can't read my own writing sometimes. I write too quick and I just can't even read what I write. Freedom from torture and cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment. It is a person's right not to be subjected to torture or cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment. Freedom from torture is guaranteed by ICCPR Article 7. Its purpose is to protect the integrity and dignity of the individual. UN Human Rights Committee General da-da-da-da-da. Do you think this man's being treated humanely? It looks to me like he's being tortured in a cruel manner, inhumanely. I'm going to get back to the, I'm seeing some comments, let's punish them, we need to stand together. We absolutely need to stand together, and we need to really start thinking about this from a serious perspective, and talking about it from a serious perspective. Another freedom that he had was the freedom to live in dignity. And this is something we all have. This is not given to us, this is inherent. Freedom to live in dignity. A person's right to live with the protection of enforceable human rights and under the rule of law. Now, let's not confuse law and legality. I'm not going to get into that right now, but there is a difference between the law and the legal system. A big difference. So, we know that this policeman's done an actionable, arbitrary offence. He's violated these freedoms of this man, or they have violated the freedoms of this man. Regardless of whether the man, even if the man struck one of the officers in the face, or two of the officers, that is the inherent danger in their job. It is not their right to then drag him down the stairs, subdue him, pepper spray him, and fucking punch him repeatedly and batten him. That is not reasonable force. That is excessive force, very excessive force. It is not self-defense. Self-defense is stopping, doing whatever action is required to stop the threat. That is all self-defense is. You do what you need to do to stop the threat, to subdue the threat, and once it's subdued, you fucking stop. You don't keep going. This is bullshit. Anyone who thinks that this is funny, or that thinks that should be happening, this is what's going to be happening to your children. Don't think that you're immune just because you are one of them, or because you are one of them, or because you worked in the Defence Force or whatever. Don't think you're immune, because it's going to be happening to your children. Fucking every one of them. Don't think it's going to get better. It's going to get worse unless you pull your heads in and start fucking doing some work. Tyranny. Tyranny. Arbitrary or despotic. We know what arbitrary is, right? We've just gone through that. Arbitrary or despotic, this is arbitrary as someone doing their own thing outside of the law because they think it's right, or whatever they want to do. And it's affecting other people. Tyranny. Arbitrary or despotic government. The severe and autocratic exercise of sovereign power, either vested constitutionally in one ruler or unsurpassed by him by breaking down the division and distribution of governmental powers. That's what we have right now. It is called tyranny. If the leader of this country, or the so-called leader of this country, is not going to take action on what is happening, then he is allowing it to happen. He is making it legitimate. He is legitimising it by allowing it to happen. You can see it with your own eyes. You don't need to be a lawyer or a police officer or anyone to see what's going on is wrong. Open your eyes and look. And I'm not having a personal dig at anyone, so please don't take it that way. I'm sorry if it comes across that way. It's really, I really feel it, and it really makes me angry. Again, if Turnbull does not act with the full force of the law on these matters, he is a tyrant. He is allowing, he is encouraging and reinforcing this action. He is a tyrant if he does not act immediately. What is a tyrant? A despot, a sovereign ruler, legitimate or otherwise, who used his power unjustly and arbitrarily to the oppression of his subjects. We are the subjects. We are the subjects. And if he is not going to take action, if it hasn't been done so already, we must enact Article 61 of the Magna Carta, lawful rebellion. I will do it myself if it hasn't been done. If something happens to me, which it cannot, because I do not consent to anything happening to my being and my body. No one has the right to touch me or my body, and I will defend myself and my family and anyone else against wrong. That is my right. That is the right to self-defense. Again, we must enact Article 61 of the Magna Carta, lawful rebellion, if it hasn't been done so already. This is what starts happening when gun rights get taken away, people's rights to own and defend themselves are taken away. You see government and police abusing their power. And it's only going to get worse. Don't think it's going to get better. And if you think that this is funny, again, wake up to yourself. The victim has the right to conscientious objection. In this case, regardless of Mental Health Act, he is in his own home, not harming anyone, asked to be left alone. The armed corporate gang went to him and violated his rights in his own home. Where are we safe? Where are you safe? Where am I safe? I'm going to go to the conscientious objection first, and then I'm going to go to the harm principle. Conscientious objection, so that we're aware, coming from the Australian Oxford Law Dictionary. Conscientious objection is a dictate of conscience that can be stated in public as justification for refusing to obey a law considered unjust. Now, someone going into someone's home or going to someone's home trying to remove them without the harm principle being broken, which we're about to go into, that is unjust. There is no excuse for it. Now, the harm principle is going to explain that for you a lot better than I can. The harm principle. This one's important. The principle espoused by J.S. Mill on Liberty, 1859, that state law is legitimate if its purpose is to stop a person from harming another. Beyond this, it becomes illegitimate as it infringes the individual's right to freedom of action. Can that be any more clear? Are there any questions on that? Yeah, I hope he does watch it, and I hope he gives me a call, because I'd really like to speak to that man. If he's not going to do his job, then I've got no problem doing it, or someone else can do it who will do it. Anyway, I had a really beautiful morning this morning. I went surfing, and I just got gifted all these amazing waves, and yeah, it was an amazing morning. Just had a beautiful breakfast, and I watched that, and I just can't absorb that information and hold on to it, because it really ruins my day. I feel a lot better after sharing that and getting that off my chest. But we need to start acting together and coming together. Transmission breaking up. If there's anyone there, did you get that harm principle? Did that come through clearly? I'll just wait for a response to that. Exactly, if he's not safe in his home, where else is he safe? We need to stand together as a people and a society. Until then, we continue to give our power away to fools. Absolutely. Thank you, Rebma. One more time for Ryan Newick, the harm principle. Let's make this clear, because this is important. The harm principle. That state law is legitimate if its purpose is to stop a person from harming another. Beyond this, it becomes illegitimate, as it infringes the individual's right to freedom of action. Did that come through? Got it. Ryan and Redmar. So, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Absolutely. Thanks, Alan. Please share this video, because this information needs to get out. This is important information. It's not coming from me. I'm not the information. I'm just sharing the information. This is where it's coming from. This is where everything I'm saying is coming from. This is the law. Let's, I don't know. I can't do it. I need assistance. We need assistance. We all need to come together. No one can do it on their own. The reason why this is happening is because we are on our own. We are divided and conquered as a community, as a country, as a people. We are divided by fear. Unless we start thinking for ourselves, you don't have to listen to what I say. Just open your eyes and look around you. Look at how many people are unwell. Look at what is happening with these police. Why are they getting away with it? Why are they not subject? Why aren't they being charged? Why aren't they getting locked up? If they're not going to lock them up, then someone else has to do it. Leighton, bro. Hey man, I hope you're still there. I was wondering if you're in town. It'd be good to go get a wave, brother.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, I think that's about it so far. It's been happening for ages. People have been frightened to talk about it. Redma, it's very, very important comment that, Redma. It's been happening for ages. And we're not talking years, we're talking centuries, generations. And people have been frightened to talk about it historically because, shit happens. And again, I do not consent to anybody touching my being or harming my being. You do not have my consent. You are not allowed to touch me or harm me in any way. I do not belong to you. Ego-driven force. Ego-driven, Ange, absolutely, it's ego-driven. It's people that, you know, have daddy issues, mummy issues. They grew up and they didn't have family around to support them and tell them they were loved and give them the, you know, they didn't have people around to give them the validation that they needed. So they look to Big Brother, they look to their superiors now, and that's where they get their validation. You know, every time they get validation, they get a little hit of dopamine in their brain. It makes them feel good. Every time they catch someone speeding and they, you know, or they bash someone, they get a little hit of dopamine because they're told they're doing good. You know, they're just little rats, mate. They're like little subject rats, you know, being told what to do, and then, you know, they're so easily controllable because psychology. It's you know, it's simple. But anyway. And so who is to deal with the corporation trying to enforce the laws? The Crown. Well, Ryan, I think, you know, legally or lawfully, anyone can start a council or a legitimate body of governance. You know, that's lawful to do. And maybe that's something we need to look at, is starting our own council, our own political organisation, lawful organisation, must be lawful. Lawful, not legal, lawful, and there's a big difference in the two, again. But it's something that needs to be spoken about and looked into further. There's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of information on the internet, you know, that is the source of all information. If people don't use that information, then they deserve what they get. Honestly, they are just ignorant, and they are, you know, I have no sympathy for them. I have no emotional connection to them. I do not care for that sort of person. It's not my issue. But those that do care and want to do something, the information is out there. A lot of people out there know a lot more than me, but I source these people and I wish to speak to them. And anyway, I think that's enough. Yeah, you know, some people don't like to listen to what I have to say, and some people, when they hear topics that bring up emotion for them or cause some sort of, you know, little feeling of offence or whatever, they turn away and they just refuse, you know. But that's people's choice. Anyway, please share again. Please share this video. Please share information. If you find information, share it. That is your responsibility. Once you know, you must share. That is the responsibility. Anyway, Angie, of course, 33 sister, thank you for tuning in again. And if you missed this video, if you're just tuning in now, Danny, go back to the start. It talks about, I'm using the Australian Law Dictionary here. I'm talking about the definition by law of what is happening here. And it needs to be listened to, it needs to be understood. Because what's happening is not okay, Danny. It's not okay, mate. Fucking, it's not okay at all. Again, I said this in one of my other videos. It is encroachment of your right. Encroachment is someone else extending their rights by taking away your rights. That is encroachment. That is what is happening. Incrementally taking away little bits, another right, another right, another right, until you have nothing left. Wake up. You can't even park on your front lawn anymore without getting a fine from the council. What more do you want? You can't sleep anywhere on the street, you can't do anything. You've got to stay in your home every night unless you're able to afford a hotel or a motel. Then you can go and stay there. When actually sleeping on the street or sleeping, you know, in your car, in the van, you're actually creating less carbon emissions than someone who's staying in a hotel. You are doing less harm to the environment than someone who is staying in a corporate building filled with lights and electricity. Think about what is happening. Anyway, I'm going to go and have a coffee and go and watch the Rip Curl Pro. If it's on today, I hope it's on. Yeah, I hope you all have a really great day, and thanks for watching. Ciao.